While retirement is generally seen as a time of relaxation and self-focus, God calls us to love, serve, and help others for a lifetime. He has been preparing us for this retirement season literally our entire lives. In retirement, countless Christians enter a state of spiritual dormancy, not knowing how they are called to have an impact for God's kingdom. The Retirement Reformation seeks to encourage and empower the 50 million Christians approaching or in retirement to embrace the calling God has been preparing in them. When the world says it's time to stop, you can begin to have your greatest impact. Welcome to I Retire for Him, the mouthpiece of the Retirement Reformation, where our goal is to journey from retirement to reformation so you can say, I retire for Him.
Did you know that when you retire, your calling doesn't retire? Your calling is a lifetime calling, and if you're still around, God's not done with you yet. And that's so important for you to remember. I know you're aware of what you retired from, but do you have a plan for what you retired to? Do you know what God has planned for your years coming up? You've tuned into I Retire for Him, the voice and resource of the Retirement Reformation, an organization dedicated to you, the retiree who loves Jesus and wants purpose for all of your days, especially the ones ahead of you. Bruce Bruinswood joins us today. As the founder and the original idea guy of the Retirement Reformation, he's here to encourage and walk with you through retirement. And I'm your host, Jim Brangenberg. Check us out online at retirementreformation.org, retirementreformation.org. You know, we have three major event offerings that come from the Retirement Reformation. The Recreating Retirement Small Group Study, the Oxygen for Life weekend events, and the Retirement Voices afternoon and evening events. All three are designed to further the conversation of living out our faith with intentionality in our retirement years. Today, we're going to focus our conversation on the Retirement Voices afternoon and evening events, as well as giving an update on our upcoming trips to Belize and Tanzania. So much to talk about, Bruce. I don't know how you're keeping it all under control. Are you getting excited about these trips because they're coming up soon?
Oh, I sure am. I'm excited about both of them. I'll look forward in the second section of our podcast today to talk about those specifically. But I will tell you, I am also just as excited, maybe even more so, about the Retirement Voices afternoon or evening event.
So, I remember we talked about this. It was late last year. Like, we're starting to do this new thing, kind of like an Oxygen for Life, but on a much smaller scale. We're going to do it in evenings. And you said, you know what, Jim? The evening thing didn't work out. So why does it end up being a Retirement Voices afternoon event?
Well, one of the reasons is that a lot of people want to come, don't like to drive at night. I mean, it's that simple. And they have the opportunity, they've got the freedom of time. And so doing it, we just did one, 3 days ago at a local church here in Colorado Springs at 1:30 in the afternoon. The thing that just excites me about that is that it's an interactive opportunity to learn about the key pieces to the retirement puzzle. And so it's very practical in terms of learning about the key pieces. So if you're 55 and going to be retiring soon, what a great opportunity to come and to learn about those key pieces. If you're transitioning from the active stage to the mentoring stage of retirement, so you're, say, 75, 78, 80, and you're going to transition in to be able to see what are the pieces that are ahead for me. So to have an interactive opportunity to learn about the key pieces to the retirement, to be able to see as you look forward, where do you fit and how are you going to move forward? And to be able to do it in a very simple fashion. If I just explain what we did just a couple of days ago, is that I typically do these in conjunction with another person who has a specific area of interest. So the one I did a couple of days ago was with Reverend Dr. Bob Bender. And he spoke about in his section of Retirement Voices about what does it mean to grow spiritually as a more advanced aged person. What does that look like? I had the opportunity to talk about those pieces to retirement in a very practical way. And then we have the opportunity to have a dialogue between ourselves and the audience to be able to answer questions that we didn't touch on. And so it's a...
Hang on there for a second. So what was the one question that you remember somebody asked you from the audience? You're like, That was a good question.
Yeah, one of the questions was, where can I get some training or some information that will encourage me to be a better mentor?
Mm.
Another question that came from the audience was, when I'm making the decisions that I have to make in the liminal periods, the time that I'm transitioning from career to quote unquote retirement or from one stage to the other, what are the 4 or 5 most important questions that I need to answer in order to be able to take the next step forward? And then to be reminded that so often, we know what we're leaving, but we don't know where we're going. And so to not be surprised that there is a place that God has us to go, and that we're not surprised by that, and that our reactions are based upon what God's planned for us and the preparation that he's given to us.
So when you say we know where we're leaving, you mean the job we're leaving, not that we're dying.
No, yeah, that's right. Either the job that we're leaving or the past period. So for example, you're 57, I'm 83. Okay. My life is different at 83 than it was at 73 or 63 or 53. So when those differences start to show up, not to be surprised and then just react and make really dumb decisions, but to be able to bring God's wisdom into, okay, now what's next? And so when we know where we're going, it's so much more fun than it is if we are surprised about what shows up.
So these Retirement Voices events, this afternoon event, or it could be held in an evening.
Yeah.
This could be held anywhere. It could be held in a community center, right? Could you hold it in somebody's big house too if you wanted to?
Of course.
But you could also hold it in a church, right?
Nope, doesn't have to be. Now, it's often a way for a church to begin to step into understanding how, in fact, the church can engage with the growing part of their congregation. That's an additional benefit of doing one of these in a church. But it can be done in a community center, can be done in a big house, any place where people can gather. We can talk about this. As a matter of fact, we have a group, Jim, called Retirement Reset, which if you go on Facebook and you go on groups, you will find one called Retirement Reset. That is a closed group for the retirement reformation, where those who find this to be a community that they'd like to be a part of can join. Matter of fact, we videoed the Retirement Voices event that we did a couple of days ago. We'll finish editing that here in the next few days, and we will put that up on the Retirement Reset Facebook page so that someone says, well, what is that really like? They can actually go see one and see how that, see what the experience is.
When people were walking out and saying thanks for the afternoon, what was the biggest, most common takeaway that people kept mentioning to you as they walked out and said thank you?
There were 2 words that I introduced them to. One is liminal and the other one is senescence. And those were new vocabulary pieces for them, both of them critical to understand. Let me just talk about liminal for a second, because that was probably the thing that they were talking about. A liminal time in our lives is the point in time, the time frame when we know where we've been, but we don't know where we're going, and we're making decisions about where we're going. That's called a liminal period. And for so many of us, it's a time, if we aren't prepared for it, we're afraid, we're confused, we're anxious, all these emotional things, most of them negative, are there. But when in fact we know that it's coming and we know what some of the things we need to understand, that in fact we can make decisions so that as we go through these liminal periods, we can do it better. Let me just give you an example. Is that probably the first liminal period that most couples go through is when they hit the empty nester stage. And now they're just sitting there looking at each other going, well, what are we going to do now? And so they know that they've raised their family. The family is now progressed to their next stage. And now the family is the 2 of them. And that's a liminal period and deciding how you're going to move forward is absolutely critical. So that's an example of a practical piece to the retirement puzzle. And that was what most people were talking about is, I never knew that. I never thought about that. That's right. And you could hear them beginning to dialogue with their wives or their husbands about, okay, I guess we need to really have some good conversations about this.
It must have been exciting to see the lights go off in people's heads. Like,
boy,
this is like, because it's got to be like fireworks going off. I mean, literally for them.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely. There were a number of couples there that have been in retirement maybe 3, 4, one of them 5 years. And they've never been able to find their new equilibrium. They've never been able to find it for either in their marriage, their relationship, how they're even interacting with their kids, what it is that they're doing. And they've just been unsettled, I guess is a really good word. And so be able to find a pathway to find that settlement in God's purpose is one of the benefits. Now, the other thing about this, it's about a 75-minute event.
Okay, so it's not too long.
It's no big deal. You need 2 chairs up front for the 2 folks that are going to share. You need 2 microphones. Okay. You probably need some pie and some ice cream.
Absolutely got to have pie. I don't know about the ice cream, but pie for sure.
Absolutely. And that's about it. And so it doesn't take any bandwidth to prepare for it. It doesn't take any much bandwidth to be able to for it to take place, but the impact is huge.
We invite you to check out this idea, the Retirement Voices Afternoon. We'd love to hold one in a community center or a church near you. Check it out online, retirementreformation.org/retirement voices. We'll be right back with a conversation with Steve and JJ Harling talking about Compel Global. And then our final segment, an update on our upcoming trips. Time's running out for you to get signed up for our trip to Belize and the Serengeti of Tanzania. You're listening to I Retire For Him. We'll be right back.
Recreating Retirement is an interactive small group study helping you to move from nothing to what's next. You can join us on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. East Coast time on Facebook Live. Our goal for this study is to provide a group setting for interaction and new ideas while leading you through a first step in your journey from retirement to reformation. Here's the big idea. During the next 5 years, 5,000 small groups will experience this journey of discovery in churches and faith-based organizations across the country. Is your church a place where recreating retirement needs to be planted? Join us online to experience the study or prepare to lead a small group at your church or ministry. Email us at contactus@retirementreformation.org or go to our website at retirementreformation.org. That's retirementreformation.org.
Hey, welcome back to I Retire For Him. As we do in every middle segment of every I Retire For Him podcast, we always bring on special guests. Bruce, who do you have for us today?
Well, we've got a father and son duo today. And we welcome them back. Steve and Josiah, otherwise known as JJ, so I'll go with that one, Harling. And the 2 of them, God is using them in just really fascinating and interesting ways. One of the ways that they're using them is to partner with us on our Belize trip. And so I'm going to ask JJ if you would kind of lead off and talk about, what's going on in Belize and how does Compel Global fit into something in Belize?
Yeah, great question. Thanks for bringing it up, Bruce. So thanks for the opportunity to be with you guys today. So as you mentioned, our organization is called Compel Global, and we really exist to help people find where they fit in the mission of God throughout the world. Just like y'all at Retirement Reformation, we have such a passion for the generation of retirees. You have more wisdom, expertise, capacity, flexibility than any other demographic in the church. So we're all about unleashing this demographic to really connect with what God is doing in the world. And so, Bruce, you came to us and said, guys, give us some good opportunities, some good placement opportunities to send people.
So, hey, what happened along with this deal originally is Compel. One of our passions as Compel is not only helping people find their place in terms of bringing their expertise, their skills, their energy, and their passion. But we also had people coming to us saying, "Hey, how can we get involved? We can't go personally, but we'd like to give in one way or another." And all of that kind of created in our minds, what if we had a bunch of people around the world that are doing amazing work for God that probably nobody in America isn't even going to find out about because these are indigenous national leaders. And so anyway, we have several of these around the world, and one of them just happens to be in Belize.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, I just got back from Belize a couple days ago.
I have a feeling he's about to take over my opportunity to answer your question,
I'm not going to take over the whole opportunity.
Well, we're going to hear from the feet on the ground.
So let me tell you, it's pretty warm down there. Pretty warm, pretty humid down there. But our partner down there is an amazing guy. He's came out of a tough background. If you know anything about Belize City, it's a pretty tough place. And he came out of a background where his family had been involved in gangs and drugs and murder, frankly. I mean, some very hard things. And Adrian just wound up being shuttled from home to home to home, finally wound up being raised when he was 5 or 6, 7, 8 years old by a witch. And during that time, he started reading the spell books, and he told the witch, hey, I'm reading these things. Here's some good things. Here's some bad things. You shouldn't do those things. And along with that, he started reading the Bible. One thing led to another, and Adrian wound up giving his life to Jesus. And his passion now is, how do I help the people of my country really find Christ? And so he became a church planner, and he literally planted a church with gang members, Bloods, Crips, M15, amazing stuff. And then he began to realize that poverty was holding people back. In fact, a lot of people got drugged into gangs because they were dirt poor, didn't have options, employment, etc. So that led him to this idea of what would it look like to start a farm with a feeding program for the kids in local schools. And so he did that. And this past year, he was nominated in the country out of 25,000 farmers. He was voted in as Farmer of the Year by the government. And his mission is, how do we use agriculture to address some of the bigger issues in the country and do that from the platform of being a follower of Jesus? Anyway, that'll give you a little bit of the background.
So Josiah, your dad just painted the bleakest picture at all of Belize, and we're actually trying to invite our Retirement Reformation folks to come alongside us. Why don't you tell us about the trip and tell people that they're not going to be partnering with MS-15, the Crips, or the Bloods on this trip?
Yeah, I mean, he's a piece of work.
It's Josiah's turn, Steve.
That's fine.
It's Josiah's turn now, Steve.
That's right. No, so we thought, what an incredible opportunity to really combine tourism. People love going to Belize. It's a beautiful place, beautiful location. Is there a way to do tourism with a conscience and a spiritual burden for the lostness in this country? And that really, I think Belize is uniquely set up for that. So yes, while parts of Belize are disastrous, and that happens to be where Adrian is from, Adrian is also a tour guide. He's done a lot of international tourism, bringing tourist groups coming down from the U.S., visiting the ruins down there, visiting some of the snorkeling sites and really beautiful locations within Belize. So it presents a great opportunity for the intersection of those two things. We want to do tourism, but we want to do it with a conscience and a spiritual burden at the same time. So Adrian's feeding program has gotten into local schools, public schools even, where he's taken on feeding public school kids. And as a result, they've opened their doors to be able to do spiritual conversations, even spiritual presentations within public schools. Can you imagine doing that in the U.S.? I mean, what a different reality it is down there. So he has the green light to come into public schools, provide lunch, and then to give a Bible story, to do some kids programming, and really begin to disciple these children in the gospel. And they're going to be the next generation of world changers in Belize.
A lot of people don't know where Belize is. I was just looking it up on a map. Many of us have on cruises have been to Cozumel or Cancun or to other great locations up in the Yucatan Peninsula. And on the Yucatan Peninsula, just at the base of it, is where Belize is, right near Guatemala and Honduras. And so it's a spectacular area. Bruce, When you decided to partner with Compel Global to go on this trip to Belize, why did you choose them?
It's a great question.
He's asking himself that question.
Great
right
question.
Yeah, I was wondering that. No, the answer is twofold. First of all, I really appreciate these two guys, and I just enjoy their presence and the opportunity to be able to share what God's doing in our lives. So it's a relationship. Secondly, the opportunity to go to such a beautiful place, it's not that far away, and to be able to do that is such a unique opportunity for those who are searching for what's next. And so here's an opportunity to experience some what's next, an opportunity to dialogue with these two guys and with myself and the rest of the team, and to be able to come together in community and to be able to say, what does it look like to make a difference?
Yep.
What does it actually, not to talk about it, but what does it actually look like? And so to be able to get our hands deeply involved in the lives of people who need us there. So that just all made sense to me. And I love the ministry of Compel Global. So we're so pleased to have them as a partner because they appreciate that those of us, the 48 million of us that are in this age group, and while JJ's going to get there sometime, Steve and I are definitely there. And to be able to see what, in fact, God can do through us and with us.
So, Bruce, you're really introducing our audience personally when you go to Belize to an opportunity for not just a week of ministry or ministry involvement, but a lifetime. People can actually, you're introducing them to a ministry and an area of ministries that they could get involved in even when they're back in the States.
And one of the things that I love about it is because Compel Global has identified people like the folks in Belize, but in different parts of the world. So in fact, I think we have an opportunity for some additional trips, but we also, if someone says, I really feel called to a particular geography in the world, that there is an opportunity not only to be there in person where they can go and help, but also to be able to provide stewardship support. So there's just a whole myriad of things that all come together in this Belize trip. And I'm really excited about going there. Interestingly enough, I've never been to Belize. Been to 108 countries, and I've never been to Belize. Again, when I look at the map, I go, I need to go there.
I feel called to the Caribbean right now as we're recording today. I feel called. Our Belize trip, April the 14th through the 20th. Go on to retirementreformation.org/compel to find out all the details. I'm hesitant to do this, but Steve, you got any final words you want to add to this?
Hesitant. Accurate.
Your life matters, and you got a lot to give to the kingdom of heaven. Every one of us do. And just an opportunity. This is an opportunity to open your eyes, see what God's doing, and figure out how you can join him in the mission of Jesus.
Josiah, if people want to check out Compel Global, where do they go?
Yeah, go to compelglobal.org. And on there, we've got all sorts of great content, but you'll be able to check out the 6 different Indigenous-led projects that we currently represent. We're always adding new ones to the mix. But our commitment truly is anywhere you want to go, anywhere you feel like God has put a burden in your heart to have an impact, we want to accompany.
Check them out online.
Thanks, guys. We appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely. Great to have Josiah and Steve Harling on here from compelglobal.org. We'll be right back with more on I Retire for Him.
Our work on this earth doesn't end when the paycheck stops. God calls us to be faithful for a lifetime. Whether you're looking forward to retirement or you're already there, our all-small group study, Recreating Retirement, will help you understand, engage, and activate what God has for you in this fourth quarter of life. Join Retirement Reformation founder Bruce Bruinsma as you consider your past, strengths, spiritual gifts, and your passions, and how they all come together as the call God has for you in these years. Connect with us on our online community group at facebook.com/Retirement Reformation, Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern, or if you'd like to bring Recreating Retirement to your church, email us at contactus@retirementreformation.org. Are you ready to start your life-changing journey today?
Hey, welcome back to I Retire For Him. What a great conversation, Bruce, with JJ and Steve about the trip to Belize and about Compel Global. So exciting. I'm super glad. Just remind people on our website, go out to retirementreformation.org/compelled to get all the information you need to get signed up to come with us to Belize, April 14th through the 20th. Time is running out. We need to get you signed up. Bruce, I thought because we spent the middle segment really talking about Belize, maybe we'd take this segment and really talk about what's going on in Tanzania when you guys are there, because you've got a lot of really exciting stuff coming up on that safari trip. What are some of when you think about it, what are you most excited about that trip to the safari trip to the Serengeti of Tanzania? Boy, I'm having a hard time getting it all out.
Well, first of all, Judy and I experienced the amazing blessing of seeing how God has created an environment that is so different from ours, with the animals and the nature and so on. But I tell you what, let me just go through the agenda of what's going to happen on a daily basis there. Okay. We're going to get up we're going to meet together for breakfast around 7:30.
Well, hang on. So how many hours difference is it between, let's say, the East Coast and Africa, where you're going in Tanzania?
Yeah, I think it's about 10, 11 hours.
Okay. So half a day.
Yeah, so half a day. So we're going to get up around 7:30, meet for breakfast and greet the day. Then we're going to come together, and Reverend Bob Bender is going to be coming with us, and he's going to have a time of spiritual growth and information, a time for us to come together in a spiritual sense. Next, you'll get stuck with me with talking about retirement reformation issues. So to be able to bring to your attention, here are the things in retirement that in fact you're going to be facing. Let's talk about what that looks like. And to be able to do that in community, we'll have some amazing conversations there.
And do it with the backdrop of the Serengeti behind you.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the lodges where we'll be and the backdrops that will be there. Matter of fact, in one of the lodges that we'll be in, one of the things I was interested to learn is that there are 8 different sizes of essentially deer. And the smallest of them is about, maybe 1.5 feet long, maybe 2 feet long at the longest, with short little legs. And I'm looking at those guys and I'm going, how in the world could they survive in the area of lions and leopards and so on and so on and so forth? And as we were sitting having breakfast, overlooking this beautiful area, and 4 of these rascals came flying across the front of the lodge. I mean, just flying, if you can imagine what that would be. I mean, like it was a war. I said, oh my goodness, Judy, look. She said, oh, I said, that's the answer to how they survived. Man, nobody could catch those rascals. It was just, to see the smallest thing and then to see how God has prepared them for their context and for their environment. Just amazing. But at any rate, so then after we finish that conversation, we'll have a time with our key guide will then give us insights into what it is we're going to see that day, whether it's the open plains of the Serengeti with the huge herds and things that are happening in a macro kind of a way, as well as in the micro settings that will be where we'll be able to be, 20 feet from a lion, in the middle of a herd of elephants, to be able to see, to be able to stop in the middle of the road and look at a bush and to see a little bird that is just absolutely gorgeous. So that's about, 3 inches long. I remember when we stopped and saw what was looking at one of those birds, and I said to our guide, I said, so here in this part of the Serengeti, how many unique species of birds are there? He says, about 1,500. I said, okay, I got it. Then as we drive along the mountainside and we look down and we see a village, a series of huts together. And I said, what kind of a village is that? Oh, that's a Maasai village. Now, when you say Maasai, those are the long, tall guys with the spears and the shields and the red outfits. Well, they are the shepherds of the Serengeti. And we're going to stop and spend some time at a Maasai village and be able to see the little school, the school that they have, and environment. Matter of fact, it was interesting. The guide that we had in that village was the fourth son of the chief. And so a little different culture, but to be able to see where they are and what they are doing. On another point in time, we'll pull up and we'll stop at a school, which is what's at that school? The school is between about the 5th grade and the 9th grade, 5th grade. And we'll be able to interact with them. And so, as a matter of fact, I was talking to our guide the other day and I said, when we go to the school, should we be thinking about bringing some things together? And he says, yeah, you probably should. And I said, would you put together a list of things, and I'll share it with the people that are going, that they can throw into one part of their suitcase, some things that we can bring and, be God's hands and feet to them. So the opportunity to reflect together as a group, to be individualized in a Range Rover with just one other couple and a Christian guide, and to be able to experience the wide open spaces of the Serengeti, the individuals. Matter of fact, if you go to our website and go to retirementreformation.org / safari, you will see the itinerary that we have there, and you can see exactly what should be happening on a day-to-day basis.
So I like that. I was reading here, picnic lunches. So they're going to kill your game right in front of you and then bake it up and have a picnic lunch? Or
no, we will bring from the lodge. Matter of fact, some really outstanding lunches. But the settings where we will be eating the lunches are what's so fascinating. And so it's, I imagine it will really be special. There's one of the places where we sat and it was on an outcropping of rocks. And you can find a place to sit and spread your food out and eat that. And while you're doing that, you're watching an amazing panorama of God's creativity.
Bruce, when some people are considering right now, they're listening, they're going, maybe we should really do this. Maybe this is our chance in a lifetime to do it. It's only $3,500 a person. It's from May 10th to the 21st in Tanzania, in the Serengeti. It's going to be incredible. It's not a safari where you're shooting things. It's a safari where you're photo shooting things. We should make sure we bring that up. Bruce, this is an opportunity of a lifetime, isn't it?
It really is. And an opportunity to not just go to Africa, not just to go see the amazing sights that there are to see, but to be able to do it in community and to have conversations that in fact are going to be life-changing, not just memories, but conversations that will open new doors, new visions, new opportunities to what's next in your life for maybe the next 20 or 30 years. So it's bringing those two things together and doing it in community, which is so much richer and has so much greater value than just going to see. But so it's going to see and experience.
So these two trips, what you're saying, are going to kick off the rest of your life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You will mark them as a major point of transition in your thinking and in your understanding of what God has planned for you in the next X number of years before we go with Him, before we go to be with Him.
retirementreformation.org /safari or /compelled for the Belize trip. The safari, again, May 10th through 21st, and the trip to Belize, April 14th through the 20th. We would love to have you join us. So exciting. All the stuff going on, Bruce. I'm so grateful that you have decided to just spend that time investing in people individually. You're talking, your guys are going to get one-on-one time with Bruce and Judy for multiple days. What a privilege and an honor that would be. I can speak to that personally. Bruce, thanks for bringing these trips to all of our audience and for making it open for people from across the country.
Well, I just appreciate the opportunity to share the opportunity. And we just pray that many of you will say, let's think about this more carefully and let's get on board, because I'll look forward to spending that time with each one of you and what it is that I can learn from you.
You've been listening to I Retire for Him, the voice and resource of the Retirement Reformation, with your host, Jim Brangenberg, and of course, Retirement Reformation's founder, Bruce Brynsma. We're Christ followers journeying from retirement to reformation. So ultimately, we can say, I retire
for Him.
Thanks for listening to I Retire for Him. with your hosts Jim and Martha Brangenberg and Retirement Reformation founder Bruce Brynsma. I Retire for Him is the mouthpiece of the Retirement Reformation. Most Christians tend to follow the world's pattern of rest and self-pampering during retirement. However, in your retirement, you can be focused on God's unique call to love, serve, and help others. This can be your best season of life if you take advantage of a life's worth of knowledge and experience and combine it with a greater freedom of time and money and invest it all in the generations both preceding and following you. The Retirement Reformation is encouraging Christians to find and follow God's call in all seasons and aspects of life, especially in retirement. Take time to sign the manifesto at retirementreformation.org and explore the wealth of resources available on our site. Join this movement of God and journey from retirement to reformation so you can say, I retire for Him. Go to retirementreformation.org.